In today's episode, we get all into whether money can, in fact, bring happiness and how much happiness. And also what we're going to talk about is that where are we getting things wrong? And why is Chris Budd saying that I won't start from here? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Warm welcome to the show this morning. Really excited for a phenomenal episode. We had Chris Budd as a speaker at the summit, which happened in August last year, and he was a big hit. And so I thought, let me bring Chris Budd back to the show. And Chris is really somebody who's talking about financial well-being a lot. He's written 2 books about it. He's the founder of the Institute for Financial Wellbeing over in the UK. And really, he's a gentleman. I had the privilege of meeting him 2 years ago when I was over there, and it's really a great guy. And we're going to have a really, really great and insightful discussion this morning. So very much looking forward to that. But with that, I'm never alone doing this. I mean, how much fun would it be if I was doing this all by myself, like back in season 1, remember? Shame it was just me and my white shirt. But yes, we have Lalani with us this morning to do the news. If we can sort out the tech gremlins, I'm really holding thumbs. It looks like maybe something is good. So I might just move her a little bit later. But then we have Kim Potgieter. So Kim is here to do her first segment for the show. So really looking forward to that. The segment is called Wellbeing and Money. And we're really looking forward to that discussion today. And then we have Kobus back with a brand new episode brand new segment rather, called The Advisor's Path. And then, of course, I've got a few announcements, and then I'm going to chat to Chris Budd. And I promise you, it's going to be a great one. Chris has a lot on his mind. He's a lot to share, and he's not shy to do so. So really, really looking forward to that. But let's say a quick good morning this morning. If you haven't said hello in the chat yet, say hello. So first in the house, and this is still dark and wet, probably where he is, Mr. Mark Westernford. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Really nice to have you here. Hope you have a warm cup of coffee and all that good stuff. Renee, good morning. Nice to see you as well. We have Anton Skitter here. Good morning, Anton. Nice to see you. Lihana is here. Good morning. Nice to see you. Good morning, Francis. We had wonderful rain last night, and it's a beautiful day. It's absolutely a beautiful day. Yesterday was scorching, and then I was sitting working last night, and suddenly it started raining. And how interesting was the thunder last night? It kept on rolling and rolling. It was like sounded like this massive Boeing just couldn't get past. It almost sounded like that. It was brilliant. Anyway, I'm digressing. Dr. Rufaro, good morning. Nice to see you. We've got Renate here. Good morning, Renate. Thank you for joining us. Nico van Wyk, goeiemorgen. Nice to see you. We've got Adrian. Good morning. Nice to see you as well. Shamaine, how are you? And a warm welcome. We've got Mr. Craig Finch in the house. Nice to see you, Craig. Ferdi is here. Good morning, Ferdi. Thank you very much for saying hi. Lizette, goeiemorgen. Nice to see you as well. Mr. Agliotti, how are you? Thank you very much for joining us. We've got Harry Nell, freshly back from a long travel. But Harry, good morning. Welcome. Nice to see you. Mr. Fish, who I saw yesterday, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Ryan is here. Good morning, Ryan. Nice to see you as well. Tinus is in the house. Good morning, Tinus. Lekker representing Bloemfontein with Ferdi. And then we've got Letitia. Good morning, Letitia. So thank you very much for joining us. And I am just seeing, I don't know what is happening this morning with the technology, because the only person that I have in the studio at the moment is Kobus Klein. Kobus, I hope you're ready to possibly go first, if you don't mind. It's one of those interesting mornings. Fantastic. Just show you live TV production. Ladies and gentlemen, let me not keep you. Kobus, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to roll, and we're going to go first with you. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, the Advisor's Path with Kobus Klein this morning.
Good morning, my fellow professionals. This morning, I will start exploring a topic that, while often overlooked, is important to our success and fulfillment as advisors, namely the advisor path, balancing advice, self-care, and well-being. This discussion is framed within the broader theme of today's show, Money, I Wouldn't Start From Here, which challenges us to rethink our approach to financial advising. It urges us to consider that true fulfillment and happiness extends far beyond the figures in our bank account. In our profession, we find ourselves at the intersection of financial planning and personal well-being, both for our clients and ourselves. This unique position not only allows us to impact financial outcomes, but to influence the overall quality of life. However, this influence comes with its challenges, notably the risk of burnout and stress while sacrificing family balance. This happens as we navigate markets, the economy, inflation, interest rates, and geopolitical concerns, while managing the expectations, dreams, and anxieties of our clients. To address these challenges, it is imperative that we integrate self-care into our professional lives. Self-care, in this context, covers a range of practices aimed at maintaining and enhancing our overall well-being. This includes mindfulness and mental health practices, which are essential for managing stress and maintaining clarity and focus. Techniques such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, and regular mental health check-ins can significantly improve our decision-making abilities and our capacity for empathy. Remember, we cannot take care of our clients if we do not first take care of ourselves. Let me say it again. We cannot take care of our clients if we don't take care of ourselves. Physical health is equally important. Regular physical activity, adequate rest, and a healthy diet are foundational elements that support our cognitive functions and energy levels, enabling us to perform our duties effectively. Emotional well-being, facilitated through a support network like Propulsion and engagement in activities outside of work, provides the buffer needed to handle the pressure of our profession. It's a tough one. Working from anywhere for nearly half of the year does it for me personally. Setting professional boundaries is crucial for maintaining a healthy work-life balance. This involves managing work hours and ensuring we dedicate time to personal interests and family, which in turn prevents burnout and enhances our ability to serve our clients effectively. Continuous learning and personal growth play a significant role in our self-care. Engaging in professional development and seeking opportunities to expand our knowledge not only benefits our career, but contributes to our sense of satisfaction and confidence in our work. By prioritizing self-care, we not only safeguard our own well-being, but enhance the quality of advice and support we provide to our clients. This holistic approach to financial advising, considering not just the financial, but also the personal aspects of well-being, allow us to offer more meaningful and impactful guidance to our clients. It emphasizes that financial prosperity and personal happiness are not mutually exclusive, but are intertwined and mutually reinforcing. As we continue on the advisor's path, let us embrace the balance between providing sound financial advice and maintaining our own well-being. This balanced approach not only ensures our longevity and satisfaction in the profession, but will raise the bar on the service and care we provide to our clients. It reaffirms our commitment to not just financial success, but to fostering life of contentment, health, and happiness for ourselves and those we advise. Together, let's commit to redefining the essence of our profession and the impact we can have, not just on our clients' financial futures, but on their and our overall quality of life. Thank you for joining me in this important conversation and future conversations I will have on this topic. Francois, I hope you're ready with your other guests. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Kobus. Very insightful session, and thank you very much for all of that. So we are going to move the news right to the end of the show, so don't worry, we'll get to that a little bit later. But first up, I'm really happy to also welcome Kim Potgieter to the Propulsion Live family, and she's hosting her first segment today, which is titled Wellbeing and Money, and it's going to be a series that she'll be doing, for the year. And really, all of these segments, as you've realized, you can join every fourth week. We sort of repeat segments with new content and new topics, but the same hosts every 4 weeks. So do join us for that and sort of see what is coming up every single week as we make it interesting. But let me not take Kim's time. Kim, hope you're ready for your first one. And let's have a chat about vision boards. That's going to be very interesting.
Morning, Francois, and thank you very much for having me, and morning to everybody joining us. I'm excited to be sharing with you a topic that you all know I'm very passionate about, well-being and money. And the idea that I've got is I'm going to share exercises with you every month that I do with clients around connecting their money and their well-being together. And then what I'm going to do as well is, with sharing these exercises, I always challenge each and every one of you. You cannot do these with your clients if you're not prepared to do them with yourself. So it's the beginning of 2024, and I think it's a good place to start with our vision board. So for me, at this time of the year, I not only do my own vision board, I also do the vision board with the clients. So the clients come into the boardroom, we give them cardboard, pictures, and they get vision boarding. So you might wonder, what does this have to do with financial planning? But for me, it's the basis of financial planning. Because if I look at financial planning, I go, how can I even do a plan for my money if I don't know what the plan is for my life? And I'm sure we'll be hearing more on the happiness sector, but what I have seen is when people are giving intention to their money, it's amazing how much more happiness they find in their life. So I'm going to start with just sharing with you a little bit of ideas around vision boarding. And I want to stress here and now that if you are not a visual person, and for you, you don't need to put it up, then you could do this as a conversation with somebody. You could do this as a list that you write of all the things you want to do in the year. But what you're trying to do and what you're aiming for is that you are prioritizing not only where your money is going to go, but also where your time is going to go. So for me, I like to do the vision board in the month of January. I put it up in the house for my whole family to see. I think it's important that my husband sees it, my children see it, and then they understand what we're all going to be doing together. They also understand where we're going to be prioritizing our money. And the cool part about this all, and let me share, is it was really one of my highlights at the beginning of this year. I walked into my daughter's bedroom and she's off to go to Stellenbosch University. And there she had painted her vision board of what she wanted for this year. And I was so excited to see it. I then went through to my son's bedroom and he had a big cardboard vision board up of what he put for his year, and he's in 5th year at university. So what you do also has an impact with your family because they are watching you. So back to the vision board. As I said, every different member of the family can have their own, and that's obviously the first prize, but you all understand each other's. And likewise, if you know what your clients are, when they come in for their planning meetings, you go, okay, remember that trip you wanted to do, remember that a new hobby that you wanted to start, or potentially maybe there's a new business in there that you want to start. You bring that in. So that's what the vision boarding does. So the first type of vision boarding that I recommend that you do is one where you use the wheel of balance. It's so important to get hold of the wheel of balance when you start, because two things I think are important is that you don't just do one area of life. You look at all the different areas: work, give back, relationships. Money is, of course, in here because it's enabling it all, learning, and you've got health, and you've got purpose, and you've got play. So you use this just to help you as your basis. And then the other one that I think is vitally important is that you consider your values, because you need to know what your values are when you're putting it up on your vision board, so that you make sure you don't end up living a life to impress everybody, but more one that's going to be bringing you the value and the happiness and the well-being that we're talking about today. So this one, you use the Wheel of Balance, you get magazines, nowadays, actually the magazines aren't so great, so you go onto Google, you cut out a whole lot of pictures, and you stick them up of all the things that you want to do in the year. Maybe you've got a year where you're not sure what you want to be doing. It feels too daunting to you. But then you can look at it differently. Take the pressure off of everything you want to do in 1 year. I call this, the other way of doing it is the wildly improbable dream. With this wildly improbable dream, it's you put out there what you want for 5 years. These are things that are way above what you think you're going to reach. For me, when I wrote my books, I had them on my wildly improbable dream, never thought that they would necessarily happen. But because I had them out there, they did happen. With my wildly improbable dream, I have both. I have a wildly improbable dream board and one where I've done the Wheel of Balance, but that helps me with it, with looking at the different sections. And another way of doing it, if you really are stuck, is what I call an intuitive vision board. That's when you cut out a whole lot of pictures of all different things. You maybe have 40, 50 pictures, and then you go around and you need to bring it down to 40, to 30, to 20, and then finally you get your 10. But what you've done there is you've just paged through and you've let the picture speak to you, as opposed to you looking for exactly what you want. And then finally, what I think is a great way of doing a vision board at the moment, given where everybody is one called an emotions. You might not know the specifics of what you want to do, but you can just understand, what are the emotions I want to feel this year? Joy, love, happiness, and put all of those emotions on your vision board. So that's my exercise that I encourage you to do. I encourage you to do with your clients and to have those discussions through the year. And back to you, Francois, and thank you very much for letting me share my passion today.
Now, that for me is the power of having all these different hosting things that they are passionate about, because these are aspects that would probably never, ever cross my mind. And how powerful was that? So thank you very much, Kim, for being part of this. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And those vision board chat, or that vision board chat rather, was very, very interesting. So thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So next up, we have a couple of quick announcements. So, not much to share with you today, apart from the Propulsion Tech event that's taking place on the 9th, 11th, and 16th of April. Really excited for that. We have a full house. The agenda is updated. It's on the website. So you can just go to propulsion.co.za and have a look there to see what it is. Our Propulsion members, they get a complimentary ticket, so they get to attend the event. If you're not a member, then tickets are 795 Rand. But if you jump before the end of February, which is now only about 2 weeks away, like it's a short month, maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks, but almost 2 weeks, you'll get 20% discount if you use the code that we sent in the email that we sent out. There was 2 emails that went out last week, and there was one this week. So if you want more information, just go to the website. All the information is there. If you don't have a code, let me know, and we will send you the code so that you can get your tickets at a 20% discount. So that's quite a significant discount. What are we going to do at the tech event, though, you may be asking? Well, we're looking at all things tech for financial planning and financial planning firms and advisors and advisory firms. And whether you're in corporate or you're an independent on your own, there's a lot of value to be taken from this. You're going to see all the great new things that are available. More than half of this is all new things that you probably haven't seen before and don't even know exist. Really excited for that. So that's going to be there. But also we have phenomenal keynote speakers like Johan Stein, who's an expert on artificial intelligence, who's going to be talking. We've got Panos Leladakis, who's going to be doing his talk as well. And those of you that may have experienced him at the Financial Planning Institute's conference or convention last year, you'll know that he's a ball of energy. But not just that, he brings a lot of insights and ideas and things to the table. So we've got Panos, and then we've got other people. We've got Per Lagerstrom from, I can't remember the business name. Anyway, it's from Sure. There's also some other business that he's involved in. So he's going to be talking. We've got someone from Guardrisk. We've got, the likes of Tian Hasselman is there. Kobus Barnard is going to be doing a talk. We've got Kirsty de Tooy doing a talk. So there's quite a few of those, and I probably haven't mentioned everyone now. So if I left someone out, I apologize. But they're going to be doing talks. We've got 3 phenomenal panel discussions. We're going to be looking at building business efficiency. We will be looking at how do you stay compliant in this. And we just had a chat, Kobus and I, before the time about how quickly things are changing and how do you stay on top of it. But now there's another question. How do you and your business stay compliant, or you and your practice? How do you stay compliant? So we will be looking at that. And we're also going to look at how can I create a digital client experience and a digital client engagement experience without losing the touch, so that's very important. So phenomenal things. We're also going to look at how to build a virtual agent. We are going to do some showdowns and shootouts and just have some fun. All of that at the Propulsion Tech event, and we will very soon know about the CPD points as well. So we will announce that in due course, but definitely worth it. You, your team, everybody needs to go and do this. And if people are not here, please send this to them so that they know about Propulsion Tech. This is that event that you don't want to miss. All right, so yesterday, maybe just the last thing, not an announcement, but maybe just some feedback. Yesterday, we had a session in Propulsion for our members that was all about Microsoft Copilot. 5 very interesting practical use cases that we looked at how to use it. We answered a lot of questions for everybody that attended that. So if you attended, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And we do believe that you got a lot of value. I got a lot of value from that. So Katie Serjak presented that session. So it was really, really insightful, practical. She's been using it in financial services for the last year. So she really sort of knows what you can use this for. But also the session was aimed at just showing what's possible. It didn't take a deep dive into every single thing because we only had an hour. But it is absolutely clear that these are game-changing technologies, and it's really, really useful. So if you're not a Propulsion member, you want to get access to that kind of content and that kind of sessions and those kind of people, and also you want to belong to a massively supportive community and a community that just loves each other, then this is definitely something that you want to consider becoming part of. Again, our website, propulsion.co.za. With that, I'm going to head on over to my friend Chris Budd, because and as I said earlier, if you don't know Chris, Chris wrote a book that I'll share just now when I introduce him. But yes, he's all about financial well-being. He's owned a business that he successfully started and ran, and then eventually sold, and is focusing primarily on financial well-being now these days. But really a phenomenal guest to have, and I'm looking forward to chatting to him right after this. Morning. I'm extremely excited to have Chris Budd. I always want to say back. It's the first time he's on the show, but we had him at the summit, and boy, was he a hit. And I'm really excited to be chatting to him today, again, around financial well-being. But we're really looking at a very, very pertinent question today. And, this is sort of around money. And as you saw in the title, it's very clear that I wouldn't start from here is what Chris is saying. So, Chris, warm welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you, Francois. I imagine the weather's a lot better with you than it is with me because it's tipping it down here.
I heard as much that it's not fun where you are at the moment. And
well,
with us,
if you like it tipping it down or not. If you like rain, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but if it never stops, I guess it's a different story, right? So it's scorching early in the morning already. It's really hot. We had some fantastic weeks behind us, but geez, has it gotten hot again? So everybody's got something that they would like to complain about a little bit, but let's not get stuck there. So Chris,
you know what? I when I used to go in the office, when I had my financial planning business, I'd go in and I'd say to people, "How are you?" And they say, "Oh, not too bad." It's a very British kind of response, "Not too bad." And I'd always say, "Okay, so you're bad, but you're not too bad. Tell me more about that." I think I was probably quite annoying, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to be the odd one out with it's going really, really well. Like that's not on. If everybody else is having a semi-bad day, then so should you. I guess that's being polite. I think I know the British are very well known for being polite until they're not. So definitely. So just for those of you that maybe don't know a little bit about Chris, obviously there's more details down below. Chris has recently written another book on financial well-being called The 4 Cornerstones of Financial Wellbeing. So it's a fantastic book. And before that, he's also written another book on financial well-being. So financial well-being is really something that's very close to Chris's heart. And he's also the founder of the Institute for Financial Wellbeing over in the UK. So doing a lot of work in that space. So with that as a background, Chris, let's sort of kick this conversation off. And I probably want to sort of start off with, if we start thinking about, the whole premise around this episode's title is around money. I won't start from here. Just tell us a little bit about the phrase, I won't start from here, because there is a bit of a reason why we use that.
Yeah. So it comes from a kind of almost a joke from Ireland, where if you are traveling around rural Ireland and you stop and you ask somebody walking down the street for directions to somebody, how do I get to so and so? They will. The cliche is that they will answer, "Well, I wouldn't start from here." And it's I've always thought it's a lovely expression. It's really applicable about money because, so one of the simple ways of looking at this is I reckon that there are 3 simple steps to achieving a great relationship with money, right? A great financial plan. Very simple, 3 steps. Firstly, you start with step 2. And step 2 is to ask, what will make me happy? Step 3 is that, and the answer to that, by the way, is internal self-worth, intrinsic motivations. Having meaning and purpose in life, that kind of stuff, not having stuff to impress other people. The research shows that if you are somebody that sees money as an objective, there's a very good chance you will be less happy than you would otherwise be. So if step 2 is what internal self-worth will give me happiness, how do I get internal self-worth, which is step 3, which is what will apply to you? How will you find meaning and purpose in your life? It doesn't mean we've all got to become, saints and do nothing but be meaningful and purposeful. It just means having a bit of something in your life that is meaningful and purposeful. Probably involves helping somebody else. There's a wonderful line from Archbishop Desmond Tutu in the fantastic book called The Book of Joy, which is that joy is your reward for the giving of joy, which is the most wonderful expression. So step 2, internal self-worth. Step 3, from kindness, from meaning and purpose. And now we can go back to step 1, which says, how do we create a financial plan? Right? So the trouble is that we usually start with financial security as our first point, and then we get to money and we create financial security and go, right, now what do I do? I'm working with a guy as a financial coach who's got £9 million in his current account, having sold his business. And he says that he is bereft because nobody's ever asked him what will make you happy. When you get financial security, then what will you do? So as financial planners, what we should be doing is we should be talking to people about step 2 and step 3 before we start with step 1. So that's what I mean by I wouldn't start from here.
Yeah, I really love that. And, we think you watch movies like The Pursuit of Happiness and those kind of things, and it's very much focused on not having money and then getting money, because that's going to sort out all of our problems. So, how is society's definition of that mainly driven? And is that, what they have done, or the way that we've sort of structured this for ourselves or defined it for ourselves, is that what's leading to us thinking that step 1 is figure out the money first? Do you think that is the reason for that? And if so, why? How has that impacted our whole world? Because all of us sort of go to step 1, as you rightly said.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll counter your pursuit of happiness with The Wolf of Wall Street, which shows huge wealth bringing in great happiness in the form of prostitution and drugs. There is a lot out there which pushes the idea that success equals money and money equals success. And so there's even, I know financial psychology is really big in South Africa at the moment. And I know some of the stuff like behavioral finance, framing bias. When somebody comes to see a financial advisor, they expect to be advised on their finances. Makes sense, right? That's the framing. You might even look around your office and say, well, what's the meeting room look like if you're still having face-to-face meetings? Or what does the entrance lobby look like? Do we have money magazines on the table in the lobby for people to read? Are you accentuating this framing that a financial plan is about money? What could you do to change that narrative so that actually this is a place where we don't have to be like this? Because outside of your office, everything is telling people that success is money, money is success. Most people that I've asked over the years might ask the question, you know, who do you look up to? Who do you admire? Who do you think is successful? Will have some sort of financial element to that answer. Very few people will say, most successful person I know is Dave down the road who works in Tesco's and really enjoys his job. In the supermarket trolley boy, and he loves it. Not many people would call him successful, but actually he's happy, and so he is. So we're consumers. We are monetized all the time. And if we need to get out of that habit, and the client that comes to see the financial planner will be in that mindset, and I would just challenge and ask, is your environment and what you're talking about in your question set, is it accentuating that? Or is it getting the client to move off of that and think about, well, what will actually make me happy? Get them to that step 2 first.
And I'm sort of keen to know, Chris, if we have started having conversations with clients around what really brings them joy, because there's this interesting thing that Martha Beck actually wrote about, and she said, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, how old you are, how young you are, how successful you are, how unsuccessful you are, how rich you are, how poor you are, how healthy or how sort of ill you are. Everybody's looking for the same 4 things. And those 4 things are peace, love, joy, and freedom. So at the end of the day, that's what we all aspire to, according to her. Doesn't matter where you are, you can link it to one of those 4 things. So I'm quite keen to know you. How do we have these conversations with clients, and how would that change the way that we give advice? Because often, you know, many of us start off as the client walk in the door, they are looking for, I have a problem with my retirement, you know, fund, or I have a problem with my risk plan, or I have this or that, or I want a last will and testament. You know, they have a very specific product related thing in mind when they walk in the door for the first time. So how do we approach that conversation then differently if the client has this, I won't say burning need, but it might be a burning need, and we want to really get to the other side of it? What are the kind of things that I think, let me ask it this way, what are the kind of things that needs to be in place before I can have this kind of conversation? Or can I just jump in with the door and you know, just immediately start having these conversations?
So I'll answer that question, but I just come back to your quote. I sometimes put things on like LinkedIn just to say a little thought I might have had while walking the dog, and I get loads and loads of people come and say, yes, it's true, money doesn't make you happy, it's the important things in life. I hope this is okay to swear slightly. I call bullshit, because it's all very well to say these things and to write them on LinkedIn, but what do we then go and actually do with our lives? Are we all giving up our jobs to go and work at the local nature reserves? No, we aren't. We're carrying on doing our jobs in order to get financial security, because that's what our society tells us to do. How many advisors and planners are actually taking the investment portfolio out of the conversation and just talking about what makes you happy? It's not actually happening. We don't do it. We all know it. We all know it inside, instinctively. We know what makes us happy. It doesn't need money. And yet you try telling somebody who's got some money coming their way not to take it. And I'll give you a great example. Here is a challenge for everybody advisors. I'd love to know, a little survey. I don't know if you can do this in practice, Francois, but I know a guy who sold his business. He's sold it for as much money, in fact, several times more than he will need to do all the things he wants in his life. Okay, so he's got financial security big time. He's on an earn out of 3 years. At the end of that 3 years, if he helps the company achieve its growth targets, he'll get a further £3 million. Now, he's not happy. He's not enjoying his job. His accountant and his solicitor have said to him, under no circumstances must he give up his job, because he won't get the 3 million. I've said to him, you don't need the 3 million. So why are you working? And he's gone, whoa, give up 3 million? And I said, yeah, if you don't need it to do the things you want to do. he is not giving up the 3 million. He's continuing with his job. So what would you advise that client? Would you advise them to do something different and lose 3 million quid? So I just call bullshit a little bit that we talk all this stuff, but are we actually putting it into practice? So sorry, I went on to the first bit of that and I've now forgot what your actual question was. I do apologize. Oh, it was how can people actually do this in practice in the meeting, wasn't it, with a client?
Yeah, exactly.
So the first important rule is bring the client with you. We're not trying to surprise people here. There can be a tendency once you've learned some new stuff to try it out on somebody and see what happens. But that can scare them off. If they're only that framing thing, if they've only ever come to you to talk about money, and then the next meeting goes, oh, tell me what you want for your future. What makes you happy? Whoa. So you need to bring them along with you slowly. And there's a number of ways you can do that. Very, very simple. What's your meeting called? I work with one company in the UK and wrote some articles for their bulletin, and they sent this newsletter, and they sent me a copy of it, and it was a financial wellbeing special, and I'd written several articles, and I looked at the front page and I realized it was called the Quarterly Investment Review. So what are you calling? Is it your planning meeting or is it a review meeting? When you confirm your meeting with somebody and you say, look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, why not add, I'd really love to hear about your plans for the future. I wonder if you can give it some thought in advance. Now they're coming ready for the conversation. In coaching terms, we call this contracting. A joke I do when I do training on coaching stuff is how many coaches does it take to change a light bulb? Only one, but the light bulb's got to really want to change. So you've got to bring them along with you, right? Newsletters, educate them. Educate your clients about the principles of money and happiness. So of those 4 cornerstones that the book is all about, the first 2 are what's true of everybody and what's true of you individually. There are some general truths, research going back thousands of years, Buddhism, philosophy, psychology, there's neuroscience, there's loads of stuff out there, which the book tries to bring together. Educate your clients on some of these things. It's not your fault you're rubbish with money. Your brain's not wired that way. It's not your fault that you're not doing things to benefit for your future self. It's because your future self is a stranger to you. Educate them on some of these things so that when they come into the meeting, you get the second of the cornerstones, what's true of you, the know thyself, as I call it, then they'll be much more ready to have those sorts of conversations. So bring them with you. Don't try and surprise them.
I really like that. You make me think back to 2000, 2001, roundabout there. I think it was roundabout there. When Big Brother for the first time came to South Africa, it was available to watch on television. I mean, everybody was glued to their television looking at these poor people staying in a house together and scheming and plotting and doing all the things. There was one particular segment that I was always amazed by, and that was the diary room sessions. Yeah. In those diary rooms, they would talk to these people felt like they knew who they were. I'm like, I don't even know whether I like red or blue or green or what my favorite color is. That we don't even talk about all these other things that they are talking about in these deep things. And one of the things that I'm really that I wish I did earlier in my life, because I only then in 2014 went on that journey to get to know myself. And I must say that, that is one of the most powerful things that I did. And it's not as easy as it sounds, but there's a lot of tools and things out there that can help you with that. So, how do we then approach if a client hasn't gone through some of those things and they haven't spent time? And also, yes, I know I ask plenty of questions all rolled into one. Sorry for that, Chris. But do we sometimes find that clients think they know themselves and then turns out that they don't? Because that's sort of a dangerous ground to have a conversation sometimes if they think they know, but they don't. How do we tackle those situations?
And look, couples as well, who've never actually had the conversation about what we do in 10 years' time. And then when you bring it up, it turns out that they want completely different things. Awkward. First tip, dial it down a bit. Okay. There's a lot of people like me. There's a lot of people from academia. There's a lot of ex-financial planners getting excited and interested in the research and all this stuff. A lot of academics, a lot of people in psychology who are coming into this world, behavioral finance, etc., and talking about you've got to have a life with meaning and purpose. You've got to do this. It's a bit scary. It can, for a client that's only ever talked to you about investments, to suddenly have all of this, it's a bit scary. So let's just do one little thing at a time. Just say to a client, we've talked about your retirement and you said you retire at 60, and that's what a financial plan's doing. 60 in a day, what will you do? You wake up, what's going to happen? Now, most people, in my experience, will say that they want to travel. That's the number one, what I want to do in retirement answer, which is cool. You might get some bucket list stuff. The trouble with that is that they're all goals. And I don't like goals. I'm not a big fan of financial goals, because once you've achieved a goal, then what happens? Famously, Michael Phelps, who won, was it 8 gold medals at the Sydney Olympics, then had a nervous breakdown. Having achieved everything he was working towards, he had a nervous breakdown because now he wasn't working towards anything. So goals are okay. I'm not saying one can't have goals, but help clients to find their intrinsic motivations, the things that they could do that will give them meaning and purpose. And dial that down another step. So I used to talk about living a life of meaning and purpose, and I realized that was too heavy. So I just changed one word, living a life with meaning and purpose. Doesn't mean everything you do has to be meaningful and purposeful. But for example, I set up a youth cricket club in my local village, which I started from scratch. It was just me and my kids and some of their friends, and one team, and then 2 teams and 3 teams. And then finally the club noticed and the club got involved. Now there's 180 kids every Friday night playing cricket in the summer at our local cricket club. Now that will be with me forever. I'm so proud of all of that. It was hard work and I'm proud of what I've done. That was time. That wasn't even money. So I just have that little thing in my life that gave me meaning and purpose. And now what I do in this conversation with you gives me meaning and purpose. But once this is over, I haven't got to go into the front room and make a meaningful and purposeful tea for the kids, you know. So that's would be one of my big tips, is just dial it down and just do one little thing at a time and just ask your client, what does retirement look like? And if it becomes a goal type answer, then use this question. That's great. When you've achieved that, then what will you do? Then what happens? It's a nice question to ask to just keep the conversation going. Is there anything else? Just keep prodding and asking questions. Leave lots of silences. I think silence is the most underutilized tool in the financial advisor's armory. Ask an open question, shut up, and stay shut up. And you'll be amazed. Leave the silence. Leave the silence for 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. The client will be looking at you strangely and you just smile benignly back. And then eventually the client will click into what's called system 2 thinking, and they will start actually genuinely think about and properly answer your question. So dial it down a bit, ask an open question, ask a follow-up, and then silence.
I really love that. So is there a way, or man, is it possible to, because this is different for, I mean, you said this is intrinsic, like it comes from inside. So everybody's thing that makes them happy or that gives them meaning and purpose is going to be different. And some of us will have the same things and some of us will have completely different things. But is there like a way to define happiness, or is that something that you need to define for yourself? And then I think the thing that goes with that, because that's for me, it's about recognizing happiness, but then can I measure it? This thing makes me happier than that thing, or I've never been this happy in my life. Like, is there practical ways to actually measure this?
Give me a couple of months and I'll have the answer to that. Look, the what makes you happy, what makes me happy, as I say, some of them are the same, some of them are different. So it's a question of understanding the principles. We could ask a question about what will make everybody happy. A hug from a loved one is going to make anybody happy. There's research out there, for example, the Harvard University longitudinal study on happiness, which shows they asked a whole load of young people, what will make you happy as you go through life? And they all replied, money and fame. They then went back every 2 years and said, are you happy? What's making you happy or unhappy? And the people who became rich were no happier than the people who weren't rich. The people who became famous were no happier than the people who weren't famous. What they found was that the biggest contributor to happiness by a street was the quality of your social relationships, to the point that loneliness, people who reported loneliness died younger. That study's been going on for about 80 years, and there's a fantastic book out about it. Also a fantastic, if you just Google Harvard study on happiness, see the TED talk that Robert Wolnier gives. It's brilliant. So there are things that we can do, we can point towards, and we can take steps towards those things. You've got the so Maslow's hierarchy of needs is here in here as well, because I do get people sometime on social media saying, "Oh yeah, we'll try not having any money then. See how happy that makes you." And that's true. If you're at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you haven't got sandwich, you haven't got shelter over your head, a bit of money is going to make a big difference. So it does depend where you are in your life as well, which is why it's such a fascinating subject for financial advisors and planners to talk about with their clients, because it's different for everybody. And one of the major problems is you can't challenge your own assumptions. So that's why you need third-party help to get into this and to really understand, well, how that will apply to you. As for measuring it, that's really tricky. However, I do have something coming out in a couple of months' time, which is called the Financial Wellbeing Pulse, which measures and gives a score for certain our clients' relationship between money and happiness. So watch this space, I guess, on that one. So it is possible that they spent many years building this tool using academic and psychology and what have you. But it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. That's to be sure. It's a little bit like there was an American study in the Senate. They were looking into pornography, and somebody at the beginning of the session said, "What actually is pornography? Can we define it?" And somebody replied, "I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it." I kind of think well-being is a bit like that. Not quite sure I can define what it is, but one day I might just be feeling happy, and I notice I've been feeling like this for a few days now. That must be well-being, you know.
And I mean, you were definitely saying something very interesting now. Like Maslow's bottom part of the hierarchy, which is all about safety and security. And I think, don't you think we often confuse the happiness with the feeling of safety? So we think, so because we're stressed and we're worried because we don't have money, and how am I going to pay these bills, and how am I going to keep a roof over my head and my family's head, and how am I going to send my kids to school, and all of these kind of things might be weighing on our minds. And then you think money's going to sort, that's going to make me happy again. But there's a difference between not feeling anxious and just feeling safe and actually being happy. So my big question to you as a last question here, Chris, is, does more money make us more happy though? Like, so there's again two questions in one, but I would want to end with that one.
So I would say it depends where you are on that, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you said to somebody, "Here's some money, you can now have a holiday," and you couldn't have had a holiday before, that will make you more happy. Of course it will. It's silly to say that more money doesn't make you more happy at a certain level. But above a certain level, I don't believe it makes any difference. Now, there was several studies on this, and I think this is so interesting. There was one study that said that the limit is something like $75,000 annual income. Anything more than that doesn't make you more happy. Then somebody did another study which said, actually, there's no end to it. People we've spoken to, in fact, it was the same data set, just interpreted differently, said that more money will always make you more happy. So then the two authors of those two reports came together for a third study, which unsurprisingly said, well, it depends. It depends on your attitude to money. So some people need more money to be more happy. Some people don't. And I've thought about this lots and lots and lots, because it just instinctively doesn't work for me that more money will make you more happy without any end. If I give Elon Musk $1 million, will that make him more happy? So the phrase that I've come to the conclusion of, after we've got up to a stage where you've got security and you're okay, I would say more money will make you more happy if you need money to be happy. Now that's a treadmill. That's a treadmill. So if we can get off that treadmill and do the things that make us happy, which don't need money, then there will be a limit. And surely that's healthier for us and for society and the planet and everybody.
I really love that. Chris, thank you very, very much. So if people want to take the next step and sort of explore this a little bit more, how can they connect with you, and what would you advise them for that next step to be if they're interested to see how they can incorporate this into their client engagements?
So we have the Institute of Financial Wellbeing, which people will be very welcome to come and join. Your time difference isn't that much different to ours, so you can join and come in online to some of the regular meetings that we have. Come and say hi on LinkedIn. Obviously, there's my books subtly placed behind me, next to one of my novels, and then there's the Financial Wellbeing podcast, which we've been doing for about 8-9 years now, 100 or plus episodes. There's masses of stuff in that as well.
Fantastic. And we'll link all of that, obviously, is down in the description below, and you can find it easily there. But Chris, thank you very much for spending your time with us. I know it's early where you are, so thank you so very much. We really appreciate it, and I can't wait to run into you when I'm in the UK next, or when you come to South Africa. I mean, hopefully that's also on the cards. Thank you very much, Chris. And it's just amazing, like the gremlins are everywhere today. So right at the end there, Chris got a bit stuck there. So I'm not sure what happened. But Chris, thank you very much for spending your time with us. We really, 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 really appreciate it. Very insightful, and really looking forward to chatting to you again soon. Right then, next up, we have Lelani Besaidenout, who has managed to chase all of her gremlins out of town. And we are ready for current affairs today. So Lelani, here we go.
Yes, good morning, Francois, and apologies in advance to everybody online. My PC crashed, so the PC is in the IT hospital today. And Francois, apologies for making your heart beat faster for all the wrong reasons this morning. But good morning, everybody, and for the sake of time, I'll keep the news a bit briefer than normally this morning. So what's on the cards? Unfortunately or fortunately, I have to talk about the two-part system again. We're already quite high on it, but let's talk about it. So what has come out? So National Treasury told the Government Employee Pension Fund that they need to get the act into order, because if they do not change their fund rules, the members of the Government Employee Pension Fund will not benefit from what we're going to see coming through the two-part system. But it's not limited to only the Government Employee Pension Fund. It looks like it's more of the defined benefit type of funds. National Treasury also gave a shout out to funds other than the Government Employee Pension Fund, which includes the Transnet Fund, Telkom Fund, and the Post Office Fund. They all need amendments. Otherwise, they will not benefit from the two-part system, which is apparently coming in the 1st of September. So if we then stay with the retirement reform, what was also discussed at the Standing Committee of Finance earlier this week is that, remember, with phase 1 of the reform, when we looked at the two-part system coming in, they said that the retrenchment side will come in phase 2. It was confirmed that Treasury will look at the second phase of the reform, where they will look at how retrenched workers can actually access the proceeds within their funds. So keep on looking out for these changes coming through. Now, let's quickly talk about sonar. And for people not from South Africa, that's not a sonar that you take off your brain maybe, or a sonar that you sit in and get a little bit hot. No, it's the State of the Nation address that President Cyril Ramaphosa had yesterday. For the sake of time, a few highlights quickly. He spoke about infrastructure and smart cities. And that there would be investment, especially towards investment. But can we ever have enough investment to fix everything that needs to be fixed? But he also used the stage and the opportunity, with no interruptions from certain parties, to then also reflect on the past 30 years of the ruling party and what they managed to get right. Now, one would expect that, especially just before an election year. National Health Insurance Bill, he did say that the bill is on his desk. He just is waiting for a pen, or he's looking for a pen. So if anybody's got a pen for him, he is about to sign the National Health Insurance Bill into law. But there's also going to be incremental rollout where they are going to address certain aspects like, first and foremost, health system financing. How's it going to work? The workforce and some medical products. Youth unemployment still a massive issue in South Africa. I mean, the percentage is absolutely mind-boggling. So a significant portion of the youth population, as we know, is not educated or unemployed. He highlighted what they will focus on is sayouth.mobi. So if you don't know about it, have a look, and that will be used to create opportunities and promote skills. Climate change fund. He also spoke a little bit about the climate change response fund that will come in. He also spoke about, the election date, which we still are not sure when it is, but we know it's this year. Hopefully it's not like Kofi, but the election date, we're still waiting for that. And there's also a lot of uncertainty still about the social relief grant. Education, we need to focus on education and make sure that funding goes where it needs to go. And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of noise around our own SETA, in SETA at the moment, in the public space at the moment. So let's have a look at the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. Just quickly for your clients, there is a warning, the Telegram group. Now, remember, that's the app that you use that's almost like WhatsApp. So on Telegram, we have people that is impersonating seed investment consultants. They're not a real provider, so please tell your clients not to fall for that. Then membership renewals are still open. Please renew your membership. You've got time till the 31st of May, although, to upload your CPD. And as I look around the corner, Francois and team, we have a few students within the FPI this morning writing their professional competency examination. And you know me, I wish I could hug all those students, but they don't know me, and they think I'm maybe a little bit strange. So good luck to all the students writing the exam. And if you haven't registered for the annual refresher yet, time is running out and seats are also limited. So Francois, thank you for the opportunity. And again, sorry for giving a bit of heart palpitations this morning, but back to you in the studio. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you very much, Leilani, and for hanging around right until the end to give us all this amazing news. And then obviously, I mean, heart palpitations are good for lowering your cholesterol, I believe. So that's fine. There's no scientific proof of that. I just came up with that. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us live this morning. If you watched on demand, thank you very much as well for spending your time with us and for learning with us. Next week, we have our first panel discussion. So keep an eye on our social media on Monday to see what that will all be about. But on that note, thank you very much for being here. I want to wish you a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be blessed and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.